Hi, it's Sandy Parker, and welcome to Crafting for Almost Everyone. Today we're going to be making a paper and cardboard purse. It's really cute. I hope you'll stay tuned. Well, I watched a video by the Posh Paper Lady, and she made this purse, or something like it. My prototype had issues, and I worked out all the things I did wrong. It should look like that kind of on top, and then magnetize on the side. Anyway, we're gonna make it, and this time it's gonna be right. I'm not gonna screw it up. Well, I might, but I hope I don't. You never know. I don't want you to think that I'm telling you it's easy to do, because it is easy, but I made some mistakes. That's all I'm saying. I am going to be changing some of the things she does so that it works better for me, but all in all, I'm going to keep most of the design the same. So, with that being said, let's go into the papers you'll need. You'll need 2 pieces of 12 by 8 inch paper. That's for the inside of the box. So I have 2 brown pieces. I don't love this brown paper. It was the only 12 by 12 paper I could find when I bought it, and it's textured. It has like a little square pattern. I don't love it, just saying. Then you're going to need 2 pieces of 8 by 8, and that will be for the cardboard surround that goes around this brown paper. It'll all make sense once we get there. Then you'll need 1 piece of 12 by 2 1/4 inch long, and that's for our handle. And then you'll need 1 piece of 8 by 6 and 1 piece of 5 3/4 by 4. These are for our lid. Then we'll go into the cardboard aspect. The cardboard pieces are as follows. You're going to need 3 pieces for the surround, and that is 2 pieces of 5 1/8 by 6 inch cardboard, and I'm just using the back of a paper pad, not that heavyweight cardboard, just lightweight cardboard. Then you're also going to need a 3 by 6 inch piece for the surround. Then you're going to need a 2 by 6 inch piece and a 1 by 6 inch piece, and those are for our lid. And that is the extent of everything you need except for embellishments. And when it comes to embellishments, I'm going to be using 4 little magnets, and about this size, and I'll tell you the size on this in a second. These magnets are a little bit under 1/2 inch wide, and I'm going to be using 4 cute little brads that are kind of bronze looking. Looks like that. I'm going to use 2 of those, and I'm going to be using either one of these embellishments by Recollections or one of these butterflies by Tim Holtz. I haven't decided, and I'll be using hot glue at the end stages because I want to make sure that some of the pieces don't fall apart like my prototype did. Clearly a problem there. So let's start with our 12 by 8 inch papers. Next, we're going to be scoring on those. And what you're going to do for your scoring, it's very simple. You're going to score each piece exactly the same. Both pieces, not each. Sounds like there's 100 pieces, and there aren't. So we're going to score them at 3 inches and at 9 inches. Making sure it's still lined up in my other end. And then you're going to turn it 1 turn. So now you're on the 8-inch length. And at this one, you're going to score again at 3. One more time. Three inches. 9 inches, turn it 1 turn to the 8-inch side, and 3 inches. And then I have one more thing I need to score in 2 places. Well, that made no sense. Okay, this is our 2 1/4 inch by 12 inch long strip. We're going to score this at 1.5 inch. You don't have to do this. If you're good at folding paper without an eyeballing, you don't need to do it. And 3 inches. Then I'm going to turn it around to the other length and score it again at 1.5 inches and 3 inches on our 12-inch length. So you have a 1.5 and a 3 inch and a 1.5 and a 3 inch on both ends. And, oh, excuse me, one more set of scoring. Then you're going to score on the 2.25 inch length. You're going to score at 3/4 of an inch and 1 1/2 inches. Again, if you're really good at folding paper, you don't need to do that. But I am not that great at folding paper, so I want to have the ability to fold it and have it look semi-decent. If you saw the prototype with the issues I had with that, then you know it wasn't pretty, especially the handle. It didn't come out the way I wanted it to. If you have paper like a Stick-It, and that would be double-sided paper, it's an adhesive paper that has stickiness on both sides. Did that even make sense there? I don't know. It looks like that. It's got sticker paper on both sides. You're going to want to use something like this, or if you have tear tape that's wide, you're going to use that on all of your cardboard pieces. So I would recommend you only doing it on one side of all of your cardboard, and that way it's ready to go. So I'm going to do that, and then we'll come back because I want this to go smoothly. So I've covered all of the backs of my cardboard. Only one side is all you need to do with your double stick tape. And then we're going to go back to our 2 pieces of cardstock that we cut to 12 by 8, and then we have the 3 and the 9 inch score and the 3 inch at the bottom. What we're going to do is we're going to cut out on one piece. I'm going to use this little, it's a disposable scalpel. One of my friends sent this to me, and I thought it would be really fun to try. And underneath I have a really old and battered Dollar Tree cutting mat. It probably would work better if I used a ruler, you know, for accuracy's sake. But you know how I am. Accuracy's never been my strong suit. And then if you have this little white area, apparently my paper has a white core in it. White core means the inside of the paper is white. So if you cut it, it will end up showing white in the inside. Can you see that edge? It's white. See that? And if you don't like that white edge, what you should do is get some kind of matching ink, you know, some brown ink. Doesn't have to be super matchy, but a brown ink. And that's not quite on the line. And with a little finger dauber, go over all of your edges so you're sure that it's, you know, that you don't see any of that white on the edges. So here is my 2 pieces that you want to cut out. On this piece, all we want to do is have this piece left behind on the bottom section. The other piece, not hard, just a little, you know, labor intensive. This piece, what we're going to do is on the sides, same score line, on that 3 inch score at the bottom, you're going to cut, and then you're going to snip out just a little wedge. My wedge is a little bit bigger than little. I shouldn't have cut that much out, but I did. It's not that big a deal. But now you know what wedge means, if you didn't before. This time I'm going to use a ruler because I think my wedges won't be as huge if I do this. Okay. From your score line, all you want to do is cut. Well, I even went a little bit further than my score line. How handy was that? I'm not really good with these, obviously. And then on the other side, I'm going to turn it around, and we're going to, this time I'm going to use the ruler the whole time so I don't make a big mess. Okay. Already did not make a straight cut. So then I'm going to cut in a little wedge, not a huge wedge, which I'm getting right now. Oh, got paper everywhere. That's what happens when you don't have a big work surface. I would have a bigger work surface if I could ever stay on top of the mess my craft room is. Okay. Well, I've got all kinds of little strips here, don't I? And as I did before, it's a little bit bigger than little. Then you're going to be left with these two flaps and these two flaps and the center portion. You're going to want to cut these long flaps about in half. And it doesn't have to be perfect because you know mine's not going to be. No one's going to see that piece. Do the same on this side. Cut the long piece in half. Did I get it all the way? Nope, I did not. Okay. Now all of these are going to be scraps, but you can, I'm sure, come up with some other use for them. Next up, I'm going to get my brown ink and ink my edges. So here we are. We have, I'm going to get this mat out of the way because we don't need it anymore. I wanted to just show you a little bit of how you fix your white edges. I just get one of these little finger daubers. You could just rub your ink pad over the sides, but right here, I don't know if you can see this, that this edge is still white. And all I'm going to do is go over that with our black or brown ink and cover it up, because when you make your box, if any of those bare edges show, you don't want it to show white, even on the inside of your box. If someone looks into it, you don't want them to see it. So that's done. I did both while we were off camera. And then next what we're going to do is we're going to put our box together. Now this purse is set up so that the inside, I'll show you this. The inside is a box. See that? It doesn't have a lid, but I mean the box doesn't have a lid, but of course the purse does. So the way you make your box, you want to make sure you fold in all of your scores. I already did these, because you want them to be ready to be folded into a box shape, and that's the easiest way to do it. Then what you're going to do is you're going to put glue, and I'm going to be using Beacon's 3-in-1 glue, because when you make a box or anything that's three-dimensional, Beacon's will make your box sturdier, and I love a sturdy box. I don't know about all of you, but it makes me happy when my box is sturdy. Now I'm going to put my pattern of that paper. Remember I told you that my paper was textured. I hope I said that already. I don't like that texture, so I'm going to put the texture on the inside. So then what you're going to do is you're going to lay your other piece right up to the score line. Not over the score line, but right up to it and centered between the two scores on these sides. And then you're going to take your bone folder. My bone folder currently is MIA, so I'm using this. It's I think a pastry thing for in your kitchen. It's made by Progressive, and it's not silicone. It's just a plastic piece, so you can basically use just about anything for a bone folder. Just sharing that with you. Okay, then you're going to fold up this. Look how I got stuff on me already. You're going to fold these two flaps in. You see that? This one and this one. And then you're going to take your glue and you're going to cover the flaps, both the little long flap and this flap in the middle of our box. And this will almost create the box. Here's how you do it. You're going to stand this piece up. You're going to hold it in place, and then you're going to bring your little centerpiece into the center, and then you're going to bring the piece on the right up, and you want to make sure that this fold is a 90-degree fold, and that it's perfectly square, and then you want to press it in. And you want to look at it again, make sure it is in fact the way you want it to be before the glue sets. And I'm just going to rub it for a second to make sure that all my edges get glued down. And then we're going to do the same. We're going to put this piece on the inside, this flap on the inside, glue this one to it, and then glue the other piece to it. So I'm going to go off camera to put the glue on it because I don't think you have to see that. Hopefully you can see this. So I've got this piece lined up straight, and then I'm going to pull this piece over. I might have pulled that too far. And then pull that down, making sure it's perfectly lined up. See, this is some of that glue I said I'm just going to roll off. Okay, there's that side, and here's this side. Now, this glue, you can see the shiny glue. Once it's really dry, we'll roll that off. You don't want anything showing on the sides. It doesn't matter if something's on the front or the back, but it does matter if you have something on your sides because that's the only part of the bag that will show. I'll grab my prototype again so you can see that. The other problem I had with my prototype is the box paper I used was way too heavy, and it's not a bendable paper. You really want to use a paper that will do this because that's what you need this to do to make the purse work. We'll put our box aside, and I'm going to get out all of the pieces I need for the surround, which would be 2 pieces of 5 1/8 by 6 and 1 piece that is 3 by 6, and then we need our pieces for the box. I think are these 2 that are 2 8 by 8 pieces. When you do this step, you need to connect these 2 pieces together. So I'm just going to add a line of tear tape the length of this because I want mine to have a really good adhesion, and I think tear tape does a nice job. And if you're using old Stampin' Up! Paper, I don't know if the new one does this, but this is old retired Stampin' Up! Paper from many, many years ago. Right there it says 2006 Stampin' Up! Was I lying? It was a few years ago. You want to get rid of that, so I'm going to put that at the bottom, and I'm going to make it so that that piece is hidden under my tear tape. Take my backing off, lay these as gently on top of each other as I can. I think I'm going to add a little wet glue there too, because you know, if you have a problem like I do, where when you glue something down like this, there's always a chance that it might not line up properly. If you put a little wet glue on that, you should end up with the ability to pick it up and reposition it when you need to. This side has got polka dots, which is really cute, and I am going to be using that theme on the top of my bag, only in the bigger print. Although I could do that. That would be kind of fun, wouldn't it? I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to go with it. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to flip it over. We're going to go this way. So now my Stampin' Up! Words still are on the outside of the project. Darn it. Don't like it when that happens. Anyway, all you really want to do is make sure that they're well adhered, because this is what you're going to be using to glue down your pieces to. So next what we're going to do is we're going to take our 3 pieces, and I'll just show you how I'm going to line them up. They need to be lined up basically like this. And the reason is because you're going to wrap the paper around the edges. And you need about 1/8 of an inch between the two pieces of cardboard. So now let's see if I can get my backing off this paper. This is the thing I've never been successful at, is taking that liner off. I'm just going to lay this one about, I don't know, I'm trying to get off my finger first. I'm going to lay it about that far from my edges. And I have a little bit of extra of that tear tape, so it'll be nice to make it wrap around. And then this piece is the bottom of the purse. I want to just make sure it's as straight as I can get it. That looks about right. If the gap is a little bit big, that's not that big a deal. That looks about right. Then what you're going to do, if you've ever wrapped paper around like a bookbinding type thing where you wrap paper around your books, you always have to notch out your corners. So let me do that real quickly. Then, if you have very thick paper, and only if you have very thick paper, I recommend that you pre-score it. And what I mean by that is you take some kind of tool, and this is pokey tool / bone folder that I bought at, I think, Dollar General or else the Dollar Tree, and it's really good for things like this. And all you do is, again, this is if you have thick paper. You don't really have to do it if you have thinner paper, and also if you are using thin cardboard like this, you shouldn't have to do this, but I'm doing it anyway. And I'm also going to make a little score down the center there. It'll make it easier for us to fold everything. Then you're going to put tear tape either on this piece or on your cardboard or on this edge. Doesn't matter, you can do either one. Rich was so excited. He got a card today from one of our viewers thanking him for doing a great job with the music, and I have to say it made his day. And so Terry, I just want to say thank you so much. It was lovely of you to do that. He doesn't get a lot of credit for being the editor and music man. He does a great job with both, though. If you only saw how many mistakes I make in one video, you would be like, holy cow, he's a genius. Which, of course, he is. I wouldn't have married him if he wasn't a genius. Who am I kidding? Okay. That's what we're going to do as far as our tear tape. And if you've ever done this wider tear tape or used it, not done it, but used it, you will have realized that it's not always easy to take the backing off of it. I like to do the long ends first because I think it's easier to kind of get the whole project folded. If you do no, it's not so much easier, it's prettier. That's what I'm going with. And nobody's going to see this inside of this to know that it's prettier, but I'm just saying. So the easiest way to do this is to fold it onto that paper. Or get the paper used to the idea of folding. And once it's folded up that much, then continue to play with it and get it to really fold up against your project. There we go. And then we're going to do the same thing on this side. I've got to find my bone folder. There it is. My fake bone folder. Make sure it's really glued down. Get our backing on this side. Then we're going to do a little fold here and a little fold there just to see if we can get our pieces to stand up on themselves like that. It's looking fun. Oh, I forgot to put the magnet on. Jeepers creepers, I keep saying I'm going to do things differently and then I screw it up. Let's see if I could fix this. No, there's absolutely no way of fixing it now. Well, what I was going to do is I was going to put the magnet under this paper, but it's kind of hard to do that because you have to know exactly where the magnets will be when your project's finished. And that part I have not figured out how to do and do well. Darn it. I really wanted to show you how to do that properly, but I'm sorry to say I screwed that up. If you use really thick cardboard, you're going to want to go around the edges with your bone folder or your finger to make sure that those edges are nice and flat. This cardboard is not thick enough to have that problem. But I made a, well, by now you probably have seen the chest of drawers that I made for my Prismacolor pencils. I am so happy I finished it, but it was a major, major project. And I hope all of you get to watch it because it was so much fun when it was finished. Not doing it at some points because I had some issues along the way, but it's a beauty. I'll link the video, one of the videos, the drawer video I'll link, because you need to make your drawers first before you make the cabinet, and I include a picture of the cabinet in the drawer. Okay, here's where we stand. We've got our base made and we have our insert. Now what you want to do is you want to put your insert into your cardboard base, and you want to make sure that the brown insert doesn't go over the top of your outer part, which mine does not. If it did, all you would do is trim the paper down a little bit. The other thing you want to make sure of is that when it's flat, that this part is laying right on your base on both sides, and that it doesn't go over the edges. If it does, it's not the end of the world, but you can't fix that part. Sorry to tell you. There's no fixing that. I'll show you from the top. You can see this side is right inside the edge, and then this side is right inside the edge. So the next thing we want to do, I'm going to put some tear tape on my base. I want this to really be well adhered, and I know that the last time I did this, I did not do a good job of adhering it to my base, and so I ended up having waffles in the bottom, and I don't know how that's possible, but I did. Now the lady that I watched do this, Posh Paper Lady, I don't remember if that's her name. I'll write her name right here somewhere. When I watched her do this, she said that you absolutely have to put the glue on the flap on the sides of your box, not on the cardboard part that attaches to the box. And I don't know why that is, but that's what she said, so I'm doing it. And this time I'm not going to do it on one side once it's in the box. I'm just going to put the glue on it before I put it in there. So then we're going to take and put our box centered on the inside. Let's see how I did. Oh, it scooches all over the place. That's lovely. Couldn't ask for it to do a better job, huh? So now I'm just going to really rub the part that's glued. And then I'm going to rub the bottom too, but I want to get that side well adhered. Because I did use tear tape, the bottom should be adhered pretty well, but I'm not taking any risks with this box. I had so many issues with that first purse I made that I'm not doing that again. Not making those same mistakes twice. So I'm going to pull it up like that and do the same thing. Really rub-a-dub-dub it. So that is what our purse is going to look like. Well, not yet. It's kind of going to look like. Then you're going to pinch your sides and start getting your box used to the idea of folding in a little bit like that. Because it doesn't have to pinch all the way in, but it does need to have a little bit of bend to it. So I like to get it going while it's at this stage so that we know that we've got some kind of movement. Okay? All right, our next piece that we're going to play with is the lid. And for the lid, you're going to need your 8x6 piece of paper, your 5 3/4 by 4 inch piece of paper, which is this one, and 2 pieces of cardboard, a 2x6 and a 1x6. And we're going to flip this piece over. This is the 8x6. And first piece we're going to lay down is the 2x6 piece. And you want this piece to be maybe 1/2 inch from the edge. You just want to be able to wrap wrap the paper around it. I do this every time, which is unfortunate. Luckily, I've never actually glued it down. But you want, it doesn't seem, it's not intuitive. It seems like it should be this way, you know, when you glue it down. But it's supposed to be the longer side. I'm going to go with it like that. Hopefully, that's right. And then I'm going to take the backing off the 1-inch piece. You're going to put this piece, again, about 1/8 of an inch from the piece in front of it. And try and line them up. And then push them down really well. We're going to cut our corners out like we did with the other one. So you're just going to I'm going to put tear tape on these 2 sides. I'm also going to put a little glue because, you know, I'm not going to use that glue because it will make it hard and I'd rather have it be a little bit more pliable. So we're going to do the same thing. We're doing the front this time. Starting to get our paper bending. And I didn't score this one. I probably should have because I think it would do better if it was scored. Yeah, I definitely recommend you scoring it. Even if your paper isn't super thick, because this paper isn't super thick, and it really helped me when I scored around those the cardboard. Alrighty. There's another piece that we're going to put on this. This piece we're going to hide everything with. But before I do that, I think I do want to hide 2 of my magnets because why not, right? I have the chance to hide them, let's hide them. Okay, now our lid, about right there is where I think it's going to go. I'm going to take my backing off my tear tape. So I think our first piece is going to go on that. I think that ought to work. So at this point I need to plug in my hot glue gun. Before I glue on my backing piece to hide all that, I'm going to make my strap. I think that it makes more sense to do this in this order, and also I think it's going to look cleaner if we do it this way. Move my. So here's how I'm going to glue this down. I'm going to lift up both flaps and I'm going to put a little bit of wet glue inside the whole length, making sure that most of my glue is focused on the bottom section because that's what's going to hold down this part. You with me on that? Hopefully you are. Okay, then this time we're going to put most of our glue toward the left side of the paper so that it stays glued down. So then we're going to put this piece down. Now if for some reason when you scored you didn't score properly and let's say that bottom paper shows a little bit on this side, just trim that off. No biggie. Now you want to have the middle of your paper with a little bit of a curl to it. So you can put your thumb in it and do this, especially when the glue is wet like this is. It should work well. Don't do it really hard because you don't want your paper to get waffled, but you do want it to understand that you want it to be bending a little bit. I'm going to let that glue dry for just a second. Then my scores are really important. This first score, the one that we did at 1.5 inches, this piece is going to go under our lid. This is the reason that we have to put our handle on before we attach the back to our lid because we're going to hide this piece of paper. Same thing on the other end. The 1.5 inch strip needs to be hidden. So you're going to fold that in. And you want to make sure you line it up so that it's straight along this edge. See that? Because otherwise your handle isn't going to be straight on the bag. Then the 3-inch score, you're going to fold it up like this, because we want our bag to end up being attached. Let me switch it in a little bit, like this, and having the pieces on the side fall under basically. The other thing I need to do is I need to put my these little embellishments in, and the posh person I saw do this, she went through her cardboard over top. I don't feel inclined to do that. I think that just is asking for me to do something that I'll never be able to fix with my I kill myself in some way, shape, or form. Although if I don't do it, I'll feel guilty that I didn't try it, right? You know how that goes. All right, so our 1-inch piece, I'm going to fold this back just a little bit. I want you to be able to see where the 1-inch piece is. You see that's where the 1-inch piece is, right there. That's the piece we're going to put this on, and that's the piece we're going to glue it under. So what we're going to do is we're going to center it on there, basically like this. That's what we're going to have it look like. And I could, if I thought I wanted to, I'm not sure about this. If I thought I could manage it, I could put those brads in on either side. It would make it a lot sturdier, but I'm so scared to ruin the bag. I'm not going to do it. Not going to do it. I know you're thinking I'm a chicken. It's true. I am a chicken. My 2 brads are attached to the magnet on the back. Let go of that, buddy. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm just going to punch this through. I'm using my pokey tool. I am going to eyeball this. I'm not a good eyeballer, but I am going to eyeball this. I'm going to put 1 hole there and 1 hole there. And then I'm going to use my Crop-A-Dile. That one needs to be over a little bit. I'm going to use my Crop-A-Dile to punch those holes, because I'm not a good hole puncher when you're going through this many layers of material. And that's probably about right there. And about right there. All right. I have a Crop-A-Dile Big Bite. I really recommend it because it stands on its own. If you have the regular Crop-A-Dile, it doesn't stand and you have to hold it. And I always struggled with having it it just never seemed to be sturdy and stable. And I was always trying to get my hold it and punch at the same time. And I was never successful at punching because I was always more worried about having it fall over and then ruining my project. So I just never did anything with that. Never liked it. All right, we've got our holes punched. If you have paper on the back of your handle that when you punch through, it just kind of left some paper behind, now's the time to just cut it off. Just snip that off and you're good. Then if you have brads that the legs on them are too long, and a lot of them are because this is shorter than things you would normally do, you're going to want to just take your Tim Holtz scissors, because they're made for projects like this, and you're just going to cut them. And then I'm going to lay mine flat and put my pieces down like that. I thought that would be pretty with this material. Yeah, paper, not material, Sandy. Again, we're going to cut these off. Try not to have your kids or dogs nearby when you do this, because sometimes these little ends just fly wherever they want. It's easier to spread the legs a little bit before you cut them, because you don't want to cut both of them at once. It's not that you probably couldn't, it's that, wow, I might have cut off too much on that one. It's just that it's trickier. Then once you're done, you're going to put your scissors right in the middle of your brad of where the legs are and flatten everything really well. So that's what our little embellishments look like so far. I want to make sure that this is well adhered. So I'm going to run tear tape over this section. Maybe not that far. I just want to make sure I have most of my paper covered. I'm going to have Rich cut this out while I'm taking all this backing paper off, because I'm sure you don't really want to watch this. Alright, so I've gotten the backing paper off of everything except I put a couple strips along the backs of my handle. But as I think I already said, I really want to use hot glue to glue my handle to my lid. Here's my lid. I've got the backing tape off of it. And here's this piece. This is how it's going to work. I'm going to center the handle so it's straight across that part. This is why I put a little bit of tear tape on it. And then I'm going to put hot glue on this piece, and then I'm going to gently fold that down. I don't want that tear tape on this part to actually hold it. The tear tape is only there for me to position things. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. We're going to put hot glue on this part of our handle, and then we're going to fold it, hopefully straight. That's straight, hard to believe. All the way up to that score, you want to have that glued down. Then we want to do the same on this side. We're going to pull this piece back. Here's our 1-inch strip right there. The handle is supposed to be curved at this point, so it's kind of in the way underneath. Just saying. Kind of annoying, just in case you wondered. And then I'm going to center that, hopefully, and get that piece glued down. Hold it as much as you can. Then you're going to go to the top, and we're going to put some hot glue all the way around that handle. There's my handle. Next up, we're ready to put this other piece on. And as you know, I like to put a little bit of wet glue on anything I do like this, because I don't want to have to be the one to rip it back off. At least now you can hear it scraping the paper, you know, the glue. So you can tell that even though it sounds like I've got a lot of glue on here, it's basically just, basically a thin stream of glue. I'm rubbing it all around the edges so my edges are well laid down. And then I'm going to position it. Hopefully you can still see this. I'm going to position it near the top. So that's the underneath. Now what you're going to do is you're going to put glue back here. This is what's going to hold your lid in place. And I'm going to use the beacon on this. And you're not going to go the whole length of the back, but I am going to go a little bit higher than where this strip stops and starts. Here's the purse. You want to make sure where that section is where you have the brads, you want to make sure that that section is well adhered to, you know, on either side of the 1-inch strip. Just kind of push it in there to make sure it's well glued down, because that section will move a lot. Then look on your bag and see which side you like better for the front. In my case, neither one looks, you know, much different, so I think I'm just going to glue this down. What you're going to do now is you're going to pinch your bag. I'm going to line it up my, I'm lining up my back, hopefully so it's straight. So we only have a few more things to do and we will be finished with our purse. First thing I want to do is finish my magnets, and that's going to only entail using some glue dots. So my glue dots, I don't know if you can see these or not, they're pretty substantial in size, and I'm going to, you'll be able to see them better once I attach them to the back of the magnet that I'm trying to lay them on. So what I'm going to do is I guess I'll just take the magnet off and lay it right over my glue dot. And it's exactly the same size as my glue dot, which is lucky. You want to make sure that when you do this, that your magnets are pointing the same direction as they were when they were in the box, because you need to make sure that when you adhere them to the side of the box, they still are attracted to the other side of the magnet. Does that make sense? I hope it did. When you take magnets and try to put them, try to get the glue dot to stick to them, the easiest way to get them to come off of the backing of a glue dot is to scratch the back of the paper until it's a little bit whiter, and that's when you know that it's ready to release the magnet. So hopefully that worked. Yes, it did. Hard to believe, isn't it? And all I'm going to do now is let go of it. Hopefully let go of it, so that it will attach to its partner. Same with this one. So now they're both stuck to their partners, and the glue dot is on the back of them, so that when I pull the bag together like this, and I'm going to kind of have to use my body to hold the top of this, unfortunately. Then I'm going to rub them, and hopefully those glue dots will stay. Okay, let me open it again. Oh, how lucky. My glue dots are where I want them to be. And I'm going to push on those magnets just to make sure they still want to be where they're supposed to be. We're going to lock it shut again. It's starting to come together. And you probably think these brads weren't the best choice, but I think once I add my embellishment, and I'm trying to decide which one of these I like. I kind of thought this round one was fun, but now that I look at it, these butterflies might be frisky too. Although the butterflies don't really match those brads. I'm going with the round one. Or should I go, ugh, we'll play with it. We'll just play with these. You know what I'm saying? We'll just play with it. Recollections. Is that a Michaels brand? I think it's a Michaels brand, right? Yes, it is. I had a moment there where I completely spaced out and couldn't remember that. I should have remembered it because that's my heavyweight cardstock I use. So let's try one of the square ones and then one of the round ones, and we'll decide which one we want to use. Here is choice number one. Well, that's pretty cute. So far, that's my favorite. It's not saying much, is it? No, I don't like that one much. Oh, the magnets are holding them in place. How lucky. All right, so far it's still the round one. Well, that one's kind of demure. I'm not really a demure girl, though. All right, I'm going to go with the round one. I know. I thought you could vote, but then I took the voting option away from you. Sorry about that. I'm going to hot glue this onto the front because why not, right? And also, hot glue gives me the option to really layer up a lot of glue. It's getting hot in here. And then I can push it. Ooh, that was easy to move. So there is our purse. I hope that you enjoyed this and that you give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and please tell your friends about me on social media because you know I love that. And thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.